In this segment of Belly Flopping into Mysticism, I want to share what I consider to be a deeper connection, something that has even more meaning to me, that came my way a few days after the conversation I had in late June with Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker wrote Mad in America and Anatomy of an Epidemic. And then from that, the webzine madinamerica.com has been around for about 10 years, almost 11 years now. I don't know how many thousands of articles have been shared there or how many different authors, but it is an excellent resource for people struggling to find help within the mental health system. And again, as part of the preparation for that, I reviewed these notes that I'd made from a couple of years ago, reading his books. And I noticed that one of the notes mentioned, I remember he mentioned it in his books, the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which came out, I think it was in the late 60s, and was fairly popular. And it describes some pretty difficult environment in a mental health ward. So a few days after the conversation, I tend to wake up in the middle of the night, might be 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. A few days after that conversation, I woke up and I was thinking about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Well, one of my favorite songs, and one that was very helpful as I went through my experiences, is the song by Kansas, Carry On Wayward Son. Now, of course, I'm not a son, I'm a daughter, but still the gist of it, carry on, my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. That's the chorus of it. As I looked at it, the opening verse of Carry On Wayward Son is one that my mom actually enjoyed the lyrics of as well. Once I rose above this noise and confusion just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. She had studied mysticism a little bit, but the Course in Miracles, which says this realm is the illusion. And through my experience, there was quite a bit of, I'd even call it a clash between what we call reality, this world, and whatever else is out there. I'm not sure how to describe it, but what could be called the real world, or that essence energy that is beyond this one. And so I woke up, I think it was on Thursday, thinking about this Carry On Wayward Son and this idea of rising above the noise and confusion just to get a glimpse beyond what we see here as the real world, and one flying over a cuckoo's nest. Now, for me, back in May of 1998, as things got worse and I got pushed into a much more difficult type of consciousness, I even said, I'm going to be the one to fly over this freaking cuckoo's nest. And I said it a lot more emphatically than that. So just making that connection that both flying above a cuckoo's nest, carrying on the myth of Icarus, is one that I'd looked into when I was thinking about Carry On Wayward Son. This idea of flying above, and I couldn't remember who in Greek mythology did that. Oh yeah, it was Icarus. And so there's that connection to that song. A couple days later, I like to stop at these give and take library boxes where you can drop off books or you can pick up ones. And as I walked up, I looked at the books on the far right and I noticed there was a book by Louise Penny. Okay, Penny caught my attention. And it was next to a book where the author's name was Jeff, which is the name of my brother who's on the other side. So there's the connection between Penny and Jeff. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. And I looked that 2 books away from the Louise Penny book was a book of Shakespeare sonnets. And again, that ties me back to the experience in 1998, because the quote from William Shakespeare about the world being a stage and we're merely actors in it. And that's very much how I felt, is act my way out of these scenes, no script, one take, show me the cue cards. All right. And so I saw this Shakespeare thing, and then there was a book next to it that from the binder, I couldn't read it. And I didn't notice it at first. And so then I happened to look more closely, and voila, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And I thought, wow, I haven't seen a copy of that in a while. And of course, putting it in context that just a couple days earlier, I was thinking of that, and I was making this connection to Icarus and Carry On Wayward Son. So with regard to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and finding it in that book box, I actually then scanned the other books, and I did chuckle when I saw one called The Healing Moment, which that breakdown was really an attempt to break out of the toxic systems that, and trauma and stuff that I had internalized. And then there was another book called Blindsided, which that experience very much blindsided me. Now, the way my world works is I thought, okay, when am I going to hear the song? I mean, I'm going to get in the car and drive a couple blocks and it's going to come on. Somewhere in there, I'm going to pick up Carry On Wayward Son. And if you listen to classic rock, it's not that uncommon to hear. It's not like I hear it every day, but I do hear it a few times a week. I strolled around downtown. I stopped off at a couple shops, just kind of dinging around on a Saturday morning. Stopped in at a record store that has a bunch of used albums. Started flipping through. Came across Lionel Richie's Can't Slow Down, which has the song Penny Lover on it, which Penny's not all that common in song titles. So that made me kind of chuckle. I also flipped along and saw Paul Simon's Graceland, which reminded me of my mom, because the day after my mom passed in 2019, I came across a bunch of 45 single records in a thrift store, one of which was Life in a Northern Town. She had grown up in northern Minnesota for a time before her family moved to Iowa. Also, the song Graceland was in there. I'm going to Graceland. I'm going to a land of grace, which right after someone dies, I kind of liked the play on that. So I saw the album Graceland. I'm continuing to flip through the used albums, and I come across the Paul Winter consort, Icarus. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, well played, universe, well played. That was even better than Carry On Wayward Son. It was only $1, so I decided to go ahead and pick it up. And for now, I keep the two together. At some point, I'll probably donate the book back. But just coming across that album, one that I'd never heard of in that context, a little touch of sequencity, as I call it. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you got a chuckle out of it. Have a great day. Thanks so much.